Hello and welcome to this tutorial on how to use Anki. This will be part one of a three-part video series where I'll be walking you through all the basics to help you get started with this incredibly powerful software. Before we begin, let me tell you a little bit about what Anki is and why you should use it. Anki is a spaced repetition flashcard program, which means that the better you know something, the less often you'll see it, and the less well you know something, the more often you'll see it. What this allows you to do is prioritize and manage your time much more effectively when studying so that you're able to memorize massive amounts of information with less effort. This was incredibly important to me because I used it throughout all of med school and it allowed me to memorize textbooks full of information, and I'm still using it in residency to this day. So the first step to getting started is to download the software, and you're going to go to a website called apps.ankiweb.net and you're going to hit the download button. You can see that there are different operating systems that support Anki. So you go to the proper one, for me this will be Mac, and you hit the download Anki button, at which point you'll download the file and you'll be able to open it. Step number 2 is to go ahead and create an account on ankiweb.net. And this step is important because this will allow you to sync your flashcards to the cloud so they can be used across multiple devices. So that means you can study on your computer, on your phone, or your tablet, and essentially study on the go. Now let's take a look at the actual Anki software. When you first start the software, you'll be greeted by a home screen that looks like this, that displays the list of all of your decks. By default, when you get started, there is one default deck. At the top, you can click the Decks button or shortcut D in order to return to this menu. You can hit Add or shortcut A to add new cards, or click Browse or shortcut B in order to browse a list of all of the cards that you've created thus far. So let's get started by adding a new card. When you click Add, you'll be greeted with a pop-up menu that looks like this. Here it displays the type of card you'll be creating, the deck that the card will be added to, and then the front and back of your flashcard. For example, on the front of this card we'll ask, what color is the sky? And we'll put our answer on the back of the card. We can hit Add to then add this flashcard to our default deck. Now that that's done, let's take a look at what flashcard we just created. In order to study the card, we'll click our deck and then hit Study Now. As you can see, we're now greeted with the question, what color is the sky? In order to view the answer, we can hit the Show Answer button at the bottom or press the spacebar. And now we see that the answer is displayed. Depending on how well you knew the answer, this is where Anki differs from other flashcard software. At the bottom, you have the options to hit Again, Good, or Easy, depending on how well you know this answer. You would click Again if you want to see it in less than 1 minute, indicating that you didn't know the answer. You can hit Good if you felt relatively confident that you knew the answer, and you'll see it in 10 minutes. Or you can hit Easy, and you'll see it in 4 days. In this case, we'll go ahead and click Easy. Now let's add another flashcard, but this time we're going to change it to a Cloze deletion type card. To do this, we're going to go back to the Add menu, and then change the type from Basic to Cloze. As you can see, the front and back areas have been changed to text and extra. A Cloze deletion card is essentially a fill-in-the-blank type card, and my personal favorite, because I think it's much more flexible than the basic front and back card. So if we wanted to ask ourselves the same question, what color is the sky? Instead of typing our answer down in the extra section, we would type it up here. And then we would highlight our answer and hit this button, or press Command Shift and C on MacBook to turn this into a Cloze deletion. Now let's take a look at what kind of card we just created. As you can see, now there's a blank here. So when we press our Show Answer or spacebar, that blank gets filled in with our answer. Now let's make a second Cloze deletion card. As you can see, by using fill in the blank, you no longer have to ask questions in the question-answer format. You can actually just put a sentence. For example, the city of Los Angeles is in the state of California. And to ask the question, we can just blank out California and Los Angeles and actually make two separate cards in one. So now when we go to study this, we'll see the question, the city of Los Angeles in the state of blank. And again, to show the answer, we hit our space bar. And now we see that the answer is California. Now this question will be asked in two different directions. So there's actually a second card that'll be asking the reciprocal question. The city of blank is in the state of California. So when we hit show answer, it's Los Angeles. So that easily, we made two different flashcards. So what's really amazing is that you're not limited to just using text for your fill in the blank. You can use pictures as well. So if we go back to our example of where is the city of Los Angeles, if we want to put our answer as a picture, we can go ahead and copy paste an image from anywhere and then put that into our flashcard. Now, the same way, we can highlight that and then turn that into a closed deletion and hit add. Now the card, when we hit this show answer, it'll pop up that picture. Next, let's talk about the extra field, which is down here. So this is where you can put information that won't show up when you're looking at the question side of the card, but will show up when you're reviewing the answer. The best way I find to use this area is to provide background information with regards to the topic. So for instance, for this one, we could say that California is a state located on the west coast of the US. And I like to make this italicized to help it stand out from the rest of the information. If we were to go ahead and view the card, you can see here's the front side, and now when we view the back, not only do we get the answer, but we also get the information in our extra field. Let's say that you want to view all the cards that you've created. Unfortunately, you're not able to just click the deck and be able to see the cards. What we need to do is go to our Browse menu, which is up here. When you click this, on the left-hand side, you'll have a bar that displays all the different types of cards. So you can click whole collection or current deck to view all the different cards. As you can see, we only have 5 of them here. So you can see the text area. This one says Cloze 1 and Cloze 2 because, again, there's 2 different cards from a single note. Here it displays when the cards are due or when you will see them next. And then this is indicating what deck they're located in. There's a lot of options up here as well. So this add is just the same as clicking to add on the default decks page, which allows you to create new cards. Info displays some background information on the card. Mark is an interesting thing where it will turn the card purple. And that kind of helps it stand out from the other card. So if there's any information that you find particularly critical or you want to go back to, it's always helpful to mark the card. Suspend makes the card not show up when you're studying it, but does not delete it. So now when you go to study the cards, this card will be omitted. However, it will still be here when you go to browse your entire decks. So the information will be available that way, but it won't show up when you're studying. Change deck is pretty self-explanatory. It allows you to change cards between different decks. Add tags takes advantage of the tags down here. Now this is something we haven't explored yet, but this is a way to organize your decks when you have a lot of information. So say you're creating a deck that's about geography, kind of like we're doing here. You could tag all of them geography, or maybe you can tag some of them, West Coast, East Coast, California. If you're doing languages, you can tag them Spanish, etc. Remove tags is kind of the opposite. It just gets rid of the tag. And delete, it will permanently delete a card, and there's no way to get it back. So be careful with this one. But for example, I'll just delete this card. Now this is different, again, from suspending the card. So I recommend that you, in general, try to avoid the delete and opt to suspend cards if you don't want to study them, just so that they're available in case you want to go back. Finally, the last part that I want to show you before I end part 1 of this tutorial is how to save your deck and how to sync your deck. Now, there's a button up here that will allow you to synchronize to Anki Web, and this is where you enter that Anki Web ID and password that you created in the second step of this tutorial. So you would go ahead and enter your information, hit OK, and then go ahead and sync the information. And then this is how you can share your deck between all of your different devices. So that wraps up part 1 of the Anki tutorial. I hope you found it helpful. In part 2, we'll be going through a lot more of the advanced options, including how to customize your study timing, using add-ons, and using pre-made decks, among various other things. If you have any questions, please be sure to leave them in the comments below and I'll get to them as soon as possible. Thanks.